Have you ever wondered why the most dependable children aren't always the most successful? In this video, we explore the hidden truths about family relationships, caregiving, and the lasting impact of how we treat our loved ones. You will discover why children who remained close may provide the greatest support in our later years, the vital role of in-laws in maintaining family harmony, and how parental treatment can shape relationships for a lifetime. Stay with us until the end to learn 3 powerful strategies to transform your destiny and enhance your family life, ensuring happiness and peace for you and your loved ones. Don't miss these essential insights that could change the way you view and nurture your family bonds. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue sharing these valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and create better videos for you. Now let's begin. First truth: truly reliable children are often those without grand achievements. In life's journey, many parents naturally hope their children will excel, whether in academics, career success, or financial independence. They proudly share stories of their children's accomplishments with friends and family, boasting about top grades, prestigious jobs, and high earnings. To them, these successful, high-achieving children are seen as the ones who will surely take care of them in their old age. But as time passes and life unfolds, reality often doesn't align with these expectations. When these children grow up and pursue bigger dreams, leaving their hometowns and in some cases even crossing oceans to seek better opportunities abroad, a painful question lingers. Who will be there for the parents when they are old, frail, and in need of care? The heart-wrenching answer is, unfortunately, not always the children they once considered their greatest pride. It is often the case that those children who are less prominent in society, those whose achievements are less celebrated, end up being the ones who remain close. They may not have climbed the career ladder to dazzling heights nor achieved the kind of success that turns heads at family gatherings, but they are the ones who stay rooted, close to home, and available. Perhaps they didn't set off for distant lands or high-paying jobs, and perhaps they even ended up taking over their parents' modest professions. And when the time comes when their parents can no longer manage day-to-day life on their own, it's these children, quietly present, who step in to care for them. It's not the glittering accolades or the prestigious degrees that matter most, but rather their steady, loyal presence. In the eyes of their aging parents, these children are their true heroes, even if the rest of the world doesn't see them that way. How many parents have found themselves facing the stark reality that their successful children, those who have built impressive lives far from home, are simply too far away, both physically and emotionally, to offer the kind of support they now need? These children, while living their independent and busy lives, may inadvertently leave their parents to face the cold grip of loneliness without the touch of a familiar hand, without a voice to share the day's small joys and struggles. Parents can feel abandoned despite the distant success of their children. On the other hand, the child who may not have the world at their feet, who hasn't amassed wealth or titles, is often the one who is there to support their parents in small, daily matters like bringing over a hot meal, helping them walk to the garden, or simply sitting with them in the quiet of a shared afternoon. They may not be able to offer much in material wealth, but what they give, their time, care, and love, is far more precious than anything money can buy. Even when they grumble or complain, these children do not turn their backs on their parents. They still carve out space in their lives, no matter how small, to care for the ones who once cared for them. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Conversely, successful children, despite their impressive careers and large homes, often find themselves stretched thin with demanding work schedules, endless meetings, and social commitments. It becomes increasingly difficult to make time for family. They may send money or even arrange for caregiving services, but deep down, we all know that money can never replace the warmth of human connection. No amount of material comfort can make up for the absence of a child's presence. The one thing elderly parents crave the most: What they long for isn't just care, it's love. It's not just someone to provide for their physical needs, but someone to fill their hearts with the sense of belonging and closeness that only family can offer. We grow older. A saying that once seemed distant begins to resonate deeply. Neighbors are closer than distant relatives. It's easy to overlook the significance of this when we're young and able-bodied, but as old age sets in, the truth of it sinks in. The nearby child, the one who may not have achieved great societal success, becomes a lifeline. The simple act of bringing a meal, helping with a short walk, or spending a quiet moment together becomes a profound gift. It's in these small, tender moments that parents find the greatest comfort. And so we come to understand a difficult truth. The children, who have risen to great heights in the world, may not always be the ones who are most dependable in caring for their aging parents. Sometimes it's the child who stays behind, whose success is measured not in wealth or titles but in love and devotion, who becomes the most reliable source of support. In the end, what truly matters is not what society deems a success, but the heartfelt connection between parents and children, the unspoken bond of love, loyalty, and presence. Parents may not always get what they expect from their children, but if they are lucky, they'll get what they truly need, a child who, no matter what, stays by their side. Second truth, no matter how good your children are, the attitude of your in-laws is important. When our children marry and begin to build families of their own, we as parents sometimes unconsciously create an invisible wall between our biological children and their spouses. Whether it's our daughters-in-law or sons-in-law, it's easy to fall into the mindset that our children are the true members of the family, while their spouses are treated as outsiders, people we must tolerate but not truly embrace. This bias, although often unintentional, can lead to deep-seated family tensions, making it all too easy to overprotect our grown children even when they no longer need such protection. But in doing so, we may unknowingly wound the very people who have stepped into our children's lives, those who, like us, only want to be loved and accepted. How often do we, as parents, push away the very people we need most, creating an environment of division rather than unity? When conflicts inevitably arise in the marriages of our children, our instinct as parents may be to defend our own flesh and blood. We might even go as far as to advise separation or divorce, convinced that our children deserve better. But what we often overlook is that in our later years, when we are no longer able to care for ourselves, it won't just be our biological children taking on the responsibility of looking after us. Without the cooperation, support, and goodwill of our daughters-in-law or sons-in-law, caring for us becomes an immense burden, one that can strain even the strongest family ties. It's easy to shield our children when they're young, but in old age we come to realize how desperately we need the strength of an entire family, not just the children we raised. There's a saying that resonates deeply: sons belong to their mothers, but daughters will not stay home forever. This simple phrase reminds us that family dynamics change over time, and we as parents must be willing to broaden our perspective to include our children's spouses. Our sons, who may have once relied on us, now have wives who shape their lives, just as our daughters have husbands who become their new partners in the journey of life. Clinging to the belief that only our children are the best and sidelining their spouses is a recipe for disaster. If we as parents fail to open our hearts, we risk creating an environment filled with tension, where even the most reliable children might start to pull away, influenced by the very spouses we failed to fully accept. The tight grasp we once held on our children may loosen, and we'll find ourselves left with distance, not closeness. Consider those difficult questions we often hear, such as, if both my mother and my wife were drowning, who should I save first? It's a dilemma that has no easy answer. These heart-wrenching scenarios highlight the impossible choice between two of the most important people in a person's life. The truth is, rather than forcing a child to choose between their parent and their spouse, the best path forward is one of cooperation, mutual understanding, and shared responsibility. When a daughter-in-law or son-in-law feels respected and valued as part of the family, they are far more likely to step up willingly and lovingly to help care for their aging in-laws. Respect is a two-way street, and it's only through mutual acceptance that families can truly come together in times of need. As we grow older, it's easy to fall into the trap of harboring grudges or resentment towards our in-laws for perceived slights or differences. We might feel they don't respect us enough or that they aren't as committed to family as we would like. But instead of holding on to these negative emotions, we should take a step back and reflect on our attitudes and behaviors. Are we perhaps guilty of holding on to biases, of failing to treat them as true members of the family? It's essential to remember that emotions flow in multiple directions. Our expectations should never be one-sided. We must strive for understanding, empathy, and a willingness to bridge the gaps in our relationships rather than placing blame. Even in our advanced years, when our bodies may no longer be as strong or capable, maintaining a positive, open-minded attitude can make all the difference. We can't control everything, but we can control how we approach our relationships. By showing respect and understanding to all family members, especially to our in-laws, we can create an environment of harmony and love. It's never too late to change. When we take the time to see things from their perspective, to appreciate the role they play in our children's lives, we become not just respected elders, but truly loved ones. Building strong, loving relationships with our children's spouses is one of the most important gifts we can give, not just to ourselves, but to our entire family. So rather than complaining or feeling isolated, we should actively work on nurturing these relationships. Let's not view them as mere extensions of our children, but as individuals with their own strengths, challenges, and contributions to the family. By fostering goodwill and cooperation, and by treating them with the same love and care we show our children, we help to build a family that stands united even through the challenges of aging and illness. In the end, it's not the bloodlines that define a family's strength, but the bonds of love and mutual respect we nurture over time. And these bonds are the ones that will carry us through, even when we can no longer walk this path alone. Third, truth. The changes in parents manifest as consequences. As parents grow older and step into the autumn of their lives, the consequences of their past actions and decisions in raising their children begin to surface in profound ways. This is a season of life where they begin to harvest the fruits of their labor, the seeds they once planted through their words, actions, and treatment of their children. But often, it is here in the twilight years that parents may be confronted with uncomfortable truths. If they showed favoritism, unfairness, or neglect in the past, the consequences are likely to return, sometimes painfully, as they seek support from their children in old age. Children who were overly favored by their parents may grow up to be irresponsible, ungrateful, and ill-prepared for the challenges of adulthood. They might become overly reliant on their parents, lacking the independence or strength to stand on their own feet. Meanwhile, those children who were neglected or treated unfairly compared to their siblings might harbor deep feelings of resentment. These emotional wounds, often buried during childhood, can fester and lead to distance or even estrangement in adulthood. The emotional scars left by parental bias are not easily forgotten and often emerge later, at a time when parents most need their children's care and love. A poignant example of this truth is captured in the film Everything is Fine, where we witness the unraveling of a family that was never able to maintain fairness. Thomas, the younger son, grew up constantly compared to his older brother, never feeling the warmth or love from his mother that he so desperately craved. Despite his success, the emotional scars of his childhood remain raw. His older brother, on the other hand, who was pampered and overly dependent on their mother, failed to achieve much in life. This stark contrast between the brothers creates a toxic undercurrent in their relationship. When their parents pass away, long-suppressed tensions explode, with each sibling blaming the other for the unfair treatment they experienced. Thomas is filled with bitterness over the cold, distant treatment he endured, while his brother, despite being favored, feels the weight of unmet expectations. The family is left fractured, with resentment and unresolved conflicts lingering long after their parents are gone. This heartbreaking story is a reflection of the deep instability that can take root within a family when parents fail to maintain fairness and balance throughout their lives. Parental bias, favoritism, or neglect doesn't just affect the children at the moment. It reverberates through the family for years, often manifesting at the most critical times when parents are vulnerable and in need of their children's help in old age. When parents can no longer care for themselves, these past imbalances in how they treated their children come to the surface, making it difficult to foster the kind of love, unity, and cooperation that is essential for elder care. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Emotions are inherently difficult to balance. No parent is perfect, and it's natural for relationships with children to fluctuate throughout life. But at the very least, parents must strive to create a sense of equilibrium where each child feels valued, supported, and loved. Sadly, many parents come to this realization too late. It is only when they are physically weakened, unable to walk or care for themselves, that they begin to see the emotional toll their past actions have taken on the family. They regret not showing more fairness, not addressing conflicts, and not fostering an environment where all their children feel equally important. Instead of a family that pulls together in their time of need, they find themselves surrounded by emotional exhaustion and fractured relationships. When parents reflect on their later years, they often feel a sense of regret that their earlier choices depleted the emotional reserves within the family. Rather than being a source of love and energy, their actions led to disillusionment, bitterness, and the erosion of family unity. By the time parents need their children the most, the well of emotional support may already run dry, leaving them to face their final years with a deep sense of sorrow and longing for what might have been. Ultimately, the changes parents experience in their relationships with their children as they age are a direct reflection of the seeds they planted in their children's hearts over the years. If those seeds were sown with love, fairness, and understanding, the harvest would be one of mutual care and support. But if those seeds were sown with bias, neglect, or unfairness, the harvest would bring only distance, resentment, and regret. Final words from the author. In the grand journey of life, it's easy to become so focused on the present that we forget to look ahead, to prepare ourselves for the inevitable shifts that come with aging. Midlife is not a time for complacency, but a time to think carefully about the future, about the days when our health may falter, about the moments when we might need to rely on others more than we'd like. We must face the reality that life doesn't stand still. It moves forward relentlessly. And in doing so, we must recognize that true peace in our later years comes not from avoiding these realities, but from preparing for them, emotionally, mentally, and relationally. There's a powerful story of a farmer, crushed by the weight of poverty, who in his despair cried out to God, "Why must I live my entire life with nothing?" In response, God offered him a tempting deal. "If you feel you have nothing, I will give you 10,000 gold pieces. But in return, I will take away your wife, your children, and the rest of your days." Faced with this harsh proposition, the farmer fell silent, struck by a deep realization. He didn't truly have nothing. He had everything that mattered: his family, his relationships, his time. He just hadn't seen their value until it was nearly taken from him. This story serves as a profound reminder that sometimes happiness is not in the distant dreams we chase, but in the blessings we already hold close. How often do we spend our lives yearning for more wealth, more success, more recognition, only to overlook the beauty of what's right in front of us? The people we love, the moments of peace, the small, seemingly insignificant things that bring us joy. True fulfillment doesn't come from a life of perfection, but from the gratitude we cultivate for the imperfect yet precious gifts we already possess. Whether we are young and ambitious or older and reflecting on the paths we've walked, the key to contentment lies in appreciating the here and now. Life will always be filled with challenges, imperfections, and moments of doubt. But if we can learn to value what we have today, our families, our health, our time with loved ones, then we open ourselves up to real happiness, the kind that isn't dependent on chasing elusive dreams, but on treasuring what is already ours. As a cue, we move through the stages of life. The wisdom we gain should guide us toward a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Instead of seeking perfection or constantly striving for more, let us teach ourselves and future generations to embrace the value of the present. Only then can we find the lasting peace and happiness that comes from within, the kind that strengthens families, deepens relationships, and makes our days, no matter how long or short, truly meaningful. 3 methods to change fate and improve life. Change your words. The way we communicate, especially within our family, has an immense impact on our lives. Speaking kindly to your children and using words that reflect love and patience can create an environment of harmony that lasts into old age. Words have the power to either build up or tear down, and as we grow older, nurturing, gentle, and understanding communication with our family becomes even more essential. When you choose to let go of anger and speak with kindness, it doesn't just soothe tensions at the moment, it creates a lasting foundation of respect and love that will carry your family through the challenges of life. Change your mindset. Life rarely unfolds according to our expectations, especially when it comes to how others treat us. Instead of expecting everyone to treat you perfectly, find peace in knowing that if even one person cares about you, that is enough. Family dynamics shift over time, and not every relationship will remain balanced or free of conflict. But by releasing the need for everything to go perfectly and accepting life's imperfections with grace, you free yourself from bitterness. Holding on to grudges only deepens your pain. Learning to let go is the key to living with peace in your heart. 3. Change your relationships. As we age, it becomes more important than ever to actively maintain our relationships. Don't let pride or resentment create distance between you and the people around you. Reach out, nurture connections, and be willing to let go of your ego. By maintaining close ties with family, friends, and even neighbors, you increase the chances of receiving help and companionship when you need it most. A humble heart, willing to ask for and accept help, is a heart that will never feel alone. Next, I would like to share a small story that illustrates the challenges and lessons many of us can relate to. Maria's experience is a poignant reminder of how family dynamics can evolve in unexpected ways. Maria had an older brother, and for a while she lived with her mother and grandfather at her brother's house. However, her mother often called Maria, crying and complaining that her brother and his wife were not taking good care of her. The tension between Maria's mother and her brother's wife escalated to the point where, feeling overwhelmed, her brother's wife decided to send their mother back to the family home. This forced Maria to quit her job and return to her hometown to care for her aging mother. At first, Maria did everything she could to care for her mother with love and patience. It is often said that daughters are more compassionate and sensible than sons, and Maria certainly proved this to be true. She listened to her mother, prepared nutritious meals, gave her massages, and even slept beside her multiple times during the night to attend to her needs. But as time passed, a heartbreaking truth began to emerge. No matter how much Maria sacrificed, her mother's behavior grew worse. Instead of appreciating Maria's care, her mother began to criticize her, claiming that Maria wasn't doing enough, and even forbade her from contacting her husband and children. The situation became emotionally unbearable when Maria discovered that her mother was bad-mouthing her to others, claiming that Maria didn't love her despite all her efforts. Maria's mother continued to cause tension in the family, creating a situation where no one was happy, neither Maria nor her siblings. In her final years, Maria's mother began to regret the way she had treated her sons and daughters-in-law, but by then the damage to the family relationships had already been done. This story serves as a powerful lesson. Family harmony can only be maintained when we learn to communicate with love, let go of expectations, and take responsibility for our actions. In the end, Maria's story is a reminder that changing our words, our mindset, and our relationships is essential for improving our lives and the lives of those we love. Holding on to pride, anger, or resentment only creates distance between us and our family, and the sooner we learn to release these feelings, the more likely we are to build meaningful, lasting bonds that will carry us through life's inevitable challenges. Elderly people and their relationships with children. People age, the dynamic between parents and children often shifts, sometimes in ways that can feel bittersweet. Elderly individuals, especially when their health begins to decline, can become particularly anxious and sensitive about their changing abilities and the roles they once held in the family. The fear of losing independence, combined with the desire for attention and care from their children, creates a complex emotional landscape. On one hand, they long for connection and comfort, while on the other, they may feel a need to assert their independence or even distance themselves from their children, fearing they might become a burden. This emotional push and pull can lead to tension, especially if the elderly parents start speaking ill of their children to others, a behavior that, though perhaps born of frustration, only serves to widen the gap between them, reducing the children's willingness to spend time with their aging parents. Sarah's story is a powerful example of the complexities of caregiving and the emotional toll it can take on both a parent and child. At 51, Sarah had spent many years single-handedly caring for her mother, who had broken her leg several years ago. The injury, along with her mother's growing confusion, left Sarah in a state of constant worry and vigilance. Her mother frequently mistook her for her younger brother, a heartbreaking reminder of the mental decline that sometimes accompanies aging. Yet despite this emotional hardship, Sarah devoted herself completely to her mother's care. She prepared thoughtful, nutritious meals like minced meat and pasta every day, ensuring her mother was well fed and comfortable. To provide peace of mind, she even installed security cameras throughout the home, checking her phone anxiously throughout the day to ensure her mother didn't fall or hurt herself while she was away. This level of caregiving didn't come without immense sacrifice. Sarah quit her high-paying job to dedicate herself fully to her mother's needs, a decision that cost her not only her career, but also her personal life. Over a decade, her marriage dissolved, and several subsequent relationships ended due to the strain of caregiving. It's a tragic reality for many caregivers who find themselves caught between their deep sense of responsibility to care for ailing parents and their own need for a fulfilling life. Sarah's love and dedication were undeniable, but the emotional cost she bore was heavy. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Michael's story offers another perspective on the challenges of family caregiving. Michael's mother had 5 children, yet it was Michael who took on the primary role of caring for her. His second sister, concerned for Michael's future well-being, didn't want him to spend his entire life caring for their mother, and suggested alternative solutions, such as taking their mother into her own home or placing her in a nursing facility. This suggestion came from a place of love and worry, as his second sister, at 70 years old, was already caring for her ailing husband and knew the immense burden caregiving could place on one's life. However, Michael felt it was his responsibility as the youngest sibling to take care of their mother, particularly since he didn't feel as tied down by obligations to his daughter. For Michael, this caregiving role felt like his purpose, a way to give back to the woman who had raised him. His second sister, understanding this, ultimately agreed that Michael was the most suitable to continue caring for their mother, though it was a bittersweet conclusion for both of them. These stories reflect the deep emotional complexity that comes with caregiving in old age. Elderly parents, while desiring care and attention, must also recognize the sacrifices their children make to support them. When tensions arise, as they often do, both parents and children need to foster open communication and understanding. For elderly parents, speaking ill of their children out of frustration, disappointment, or a sense of helplessness can only create further rifts, making it even harder for the children to offer the care they need. At the same time, children like Sarah and Michael must navigate the delicate balance of honoring their parents while also protecting their own emotional and mental well-being. In the end, these relationships require patience, empathy, and mutual respect. Parents should strive to appreciate the efforts their children make, while children need to set healthy boundaries to avoid burnout. Caregiving, when done with love and understanding, can deepen the bond between parent and child, but it requires ongoing emotional investment from both sides. As we reflect on the stories and lessons shared today, it's clear that relationships between elderly parents and their children are both beautiful and complex. From the sacrifices made by caregivers to the importance of communication and mutual respect, these experiences remind us how vital it is to foster understanding and empathy within our families. Now, we would love to hear from you. What have you learned so far from these stories and insights? Please share one thing you've learned and how you plan to bring it into practice in your own life. If you like this video, please leave your comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more heartfelt stories and valuable life lessons. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to continuing this journey together.